exist in the world. People shouldn't have to waste hours of their precious time on hold. So we built what is akin to like Expedia for groups of 10 or more traveling together. And then since then, we branched out and allow you to book individual tickets as well. So now basically we run the full gambit, and we like to think of ourselves as the leading group air travel platform.
All right, this is another episode, actually an episode in season 2 of the Founders Pack, Form Your Own Pack podcast. My guest today is Kenny Totten from AllFly. Kenny, how are you doing today?
I am doing good. Thanks for having me on the show.
No problem. We're always excited to talk to new founders. So for people that don't know, who is Kenny and what is AllFly?
So I am born and raised in New Jersey. I have had quite a weird career coming into tech. I meandered around the education world and then in the world of mental health and counseling. But I eventually found myself as a tech founder. And in 2018, we founded AllFly. And AllFly makes it really easy for tour operators, companies, and meeting planners to book group airfare. So think of a sports team taking 30 or 40, 50 people to a sporting event in Orlando, or think of a company booking 100 people for a team offsite. We help organize, book, and report on all things air travel.
Interesting. Okay. So what was the problem that you noticed that drove you to start this?
Yeah. So say that you are a customer and you're an eighth grade school teacher and you're looking to book 30 people to Orlando. In order to shop for flights, you would actually have to call the airlines over the phone, right? So there is no Expedia for group
Right.
airfare. And
No.
we thought that this should exist in the world. People shouldn't have to waste hours of their precious time on hold. So we built what is akin to like Expedia for groups of 10 or more traveling together. And then since then, we branched out and allow you to book individual tickets as well. So now basically we run the full gambit, and we like to think of ourselves as the leading group air travel platform.
That's amazing. Now you're probably a really good fit. I was thinking for a couple of scenarios. You mentioned schools. Do you see usage outside of companies in like sports or nonprofits that have big groups? Like who's been using this so far?
So our bread and butter historically has been tour operators in the student travel market. That was really our beachhead customer. The reason is because tour operators often use a lot of vendors. And so they'll book hotels with one company, they'll book ground transportation with another, and they come to us to book their airfare. So that's been our beachhead market, and our team has really deep roots in the student tour industry. And then since then, we've expanded into corporate meetings. So we partner with a lot of meeting planners who they're putting on an event of 200 to 300 people. And their client comes to them and said, "Hey, we're going to Cancun. How are we going to get there? What do you guys do for airfare?" Similarly, those meeting planners use a lot of vendors, and we're a preferred vendor on a lot of the bigger meeting planning platforms. And then all of your typical use cases, like a sports team, a performance group, and then we have some customers who are into leisure travel, and they'll do like a yoga studio. We'll go and do 25 people to Barcelona for the summer. So between tour operators, travel agencies, meeting planners, and leisure groups, that kind of covers the major players in group air travel.
That sounds very, very interesting. And I can see where if that doesn't exist, like that's a huge opportunity. So what's been some of the traction you've gotten and where do you go next?
Yeah, so we started the business in 2018. COVID, of course, wasn't kind to us. So we
That
barely eked it out. And as a result of COVID, we ended up, a lot of our old clients didn't make it because they were group travel companies,
right.
two things that did not go together during COVID. So we had to start fishing for new clients. So it almost felt like we started a new business when travel kicked back up in 2022. And in 2022, I don't have the number of flyers off the top of my head, but we did about 1 million, $1.1 million in revenue. So going from zero to $1 million in revenue in the first year. And we're looking to hopefully double and triple revenue in 2023.
That is amazing. And then are you currently in like an active raise? I think, well, we met on Stonks, which is one of our really good partners, and we have online pitch events that are coming up in 2023. But I know you pitched on there. Like, are you still actively raising? Are you looking for investment? What's a good connection for you?
Yeah, so we are currently not actively raising, but we have a pretty strong outlook for 2023. We've been hiring, and we're thinking about that next round. We want to kind of see how the spring shapes up. Traditionally, we've always been profitable, and so we haven't had the need, even we haven't had the need to ever really raise. But if we want to go a little further and faster, then we'll kind of think about another round here in the spring.
I mean, that all sounds very, very positive. I think that if 2023 is as tough as people say, then being profitable is a very good thing. So that's excellent news. All right. So if you had advice for other founders and you can only give one piece of advice, what would that advice be?
It's a good question. I would say focus on the problem and deliver a solution that directly solves that problem no matter what. So for us, our main problem that we set out to solve is that group airfare was booked offline. And way before we ever had a piece of technology, people would call us and they'd be like, hey, I have 85 people that want to go to Disney. And they're like, but I don't know where to start. I need like 3 quotes to give to my school board. Can you help me? And so the first iteration of our business, basically, we ran it on email and we ran it for 2 years.
Wow, that's a crazy.
Yeah. So we focused on basically just understanding the problem and then solving it in the lightest tech way possible. And we got to learn a lot about our customers and we got to learn a lot about the industry. And then that was able to inform us on making a better product experience. Often, I think sometimes startups are like technology in search of a problem, where I
Mhm.
think that you should really go back to basics and just say, what is the problem I'm trying to solve in the world? Why does my company exist? And just test and iterate before you dump a bunch of money into a fancy product or marketing or expensive engineers. Just go back to basics.
I think that is very good advice. And if you've ever read Blitzscaling, I think it's Blitzscaling that talks about that, which Reid Hoffman talks about doing things that don't scale.
Mm.
And I think before I really delved into that, I was like, why would you tell people to do such a crazy thing? But I think that's what you're describing, which is, okay, well, this is obviously something that needs to be automated.
Yeah, because our theory was if we could make money off of calling on the phone, right, then we could probably make money just optimizing that a little bit more each year. So we started with calling on behalf of people on the phone. Then we made a trip management platform that allowed the back office of it to get more organized. And then in the end of 2021, we released a full-blown shopping platform that
Oh,
took the whole thing digital. So we went in little tiny baby steps and it was over the course of years. So it's not the super sexy, we raised $6 million and built this amazing thing. It was really a grind, a multi-year grind for us that has led us to where we are today.
that is excellent to hear. And I applaud you for getting through the tough times of COVID, because I know that was really tough on a lot of travel tech companies that were just trying to go tech first. And that makes sense too, that you kind of toughed it out and took something that didn't scale and now you created a platform people actually use.
Yeah.
That's terrific. All right. So, as you know, one of the big themes that we talk about here at Founders Pack is the role of community and partnerships. So, what has the role of community and/or partnerships been in your success?
So our current go-to-market strategy is formulated 100% around partnerships. So this is something very near and dear to our heart. So we actually partner with meeting planners, and meeting planners bring us their clients and then we book on behalf of the company. So to give you a case example, say that you're a meeting planner and one of your clients is Apple, and Apple's like, I want to take my top 200 salespeople and we're going to do a trip to Miami. Well, you as the meeting planner can go to allfly.io, contact us and say, hey, my company, Apple, needs a vendor to book flights and keep everything organized to Miami. We book everything for Apple, and then in as a kickback for you to refer us the business, we actually pay the meeting planner $5 per flight.
Oh,
So we've had people that have sent
wow.
us a group of a thousand people. All it took was an email introduction, and we booked 1,000 flights. And at the end of it, we cut them a check for $5,000. So essentially, we're kind of like a SaaS product for
Right.
meeting planners, but only they make money by referring us rather than us charging the meeting planners. So our go-to-market motion is we're on a mission to essentially find the next 1,000 meeting planners that want to use AllFly to make sure that their clients are booked in a cost-effective and efficient manner.
That is incredible. I love to hear that. So if people do want to get in touch with you to talk about partnership or even just using AllFly, what is the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Sure, yeah. So my email is kenny@allfly.io. Feel free to shoot me an email there. You can also find me on Twitter at Kenny_Totten. And I'm pretty active on Twitter, pretty active in my email inbox, and that would be a perfectly fine way to get in touch with me.
Amazing. We will make sure to include all of that in the show notes. The final thing that we want to wrap with, and I do want to thank you for joining me today and acknowledge you for toughing it through what probably could have been a kind of a scary time. I like to see companies on the other side, so this is exciting. The final thing is, when we have interesting people on the Form Your Own Pack podcast, we like you to nominate other interesting people. As you know, we talk to founders and investors of scalable ventures. So who would you, Kenny, like to nominate as a future guest of the Founders Pack podcast?
Ooh, I have a friend and colleague that I've met before the pandemic when he was working at Airbnb, and his name is Jonathan Sakia, and he's building a really interesting company. He has really good credentials, super smart guy. I think he's going to be a killer founder. So Jonathan would be someone that you should definitely check out.
Amazing. So it's Jonathan Sakia. And what was the name of his company? I forgot. Or did you say?
Oh, you know what? I
Oh,
actually
that's all
would
right.
need.
Jonathan Sakia, you've been nominated as a future guest of the Founders Pack podcast. I thought I missed it. Sorry.
No, no, you know what? I feel so bad
Oh,
now
don't worry
that.
about it. We can cut that part out.
Okay.
All right, so Jonathan Sakia, you've been nominated as a future guest. We will accept that nomination. We look forward to an introduction. Kenny, thank you so much for your time. I do want to invite you also to try out Intros by Founders Pack. It's a way that you can weekly meet other founders and investors of scalable ventures. So I'd like you to give that a try. It'd be great if you can come. That'd be super. That's basically introductions every week to your inbox. And otherwise, thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to following your journey.
Awesome. Thank you so much.